Okay, now there were also environmental consequences that arose from the various trading connections across the world in 1200 to 1450. And here we're going to focus on agricultural transfers and transfers of people's nasty germs, which is to say disease. So if you're ready to get them brain cows milked bubonic plague style, well, let's get to it. Okay, now we've established in previous videos that with all these states being linked through trade routes like the Silk Roads and the Indian Ocean trade and the Trans-Saharan trade, lots of people were moving around and intermingling. But they weren't just hawking porcelain and salt and gold through these connections, they were also introducing new crops to various places. Oh, and by the way, if you want no guys to follow along with this video, then check the link in the description. Anyway, let's talk about bananas in Africa. Now, these sweet little bippies were first domesticated over in Southeast Asia, but thanks to merchants crossing the Indian Ocean, bananas were introduced to Africa. And as it turned out, the lush rainforests in sub-Saharan Africa provided prime conditions for the flourishing of the banana. And you're like, are bananas really that important? Well, yeah, because when bananas were introduced here, the diets of the people were expanded and that led to population growth. Additionally, various Bantu-speaking people were able to migrate thanks in part to the banana. Like their main source of sustenance was the yam, which I admit is a word that gives me great pleasure to say. But they were able to move places where the yam couldn't grow because they could count on stuffing their bellies with bananas. Anyway, another important agricultural transfer was champa rice in East Asia. Now recall that this drought-resistant grain of rice was introduced to China from the Champa Kingdom in Vietnam. And because it matured quickly and could be harvested more than once a season, it meant way more food to stuff in people's mouth holes. And never forget, more food equals more babies, and thanks to champa rice, China experienced a population explosion during this period. And third, citrus fruits like the sour orange and limes were introduced by Muslim traders into Europe via the Mediterranean trade routes where they spread throughout Europe and North Africa. And again, the effects were more variation in diets, better health, etc. And look, I have as much fun as anyone talking about the spread of bananas and rice and sour oranges, but you're here for the drama, and the environmental drama in this period, my friend, was the spread of the bubonic plague. Or maybe you've heard it by its sweeter, more cherubic name. Now, for the spread of this devastating disease, we have our friends the Mongols to thank. Remember how they mounted the world stage in a rush and basically conquered everyone's crap across Eurasia? Yeah, well, in doing so, they increased the pace and volume and geographical extent of trade by keeping those various routes safe. Thanks, Pax Mongolica. And that sounds great until you realize that in 1331, the bubonic plague, which was exceedingly deadly, erupted in northern China. And from there, it traveled rapidly across the Silk Roads and through the Indian Ocean trade routes. Oh, you're staying in a caravanserai tonight? Plague. Oh, you're shoving out in a ship to get rich by trading? Plague. And if you consider the spatial arrangement of where this disease spread, it's almost entirely in line with trade routes and significant trade cities. Anyway, this disease had a devastating effect in this period. In the Middle East, the plague killed nearly a third of the population. In parts of Europe, it killed half the population. So the point is, whether it was crops or germs, the consequences of connectivity during this period were significant. All right, click here to keep reviewing my other Unit 2 videos. And since we're at the end of a unit, you're probably studying for an exam. And in that case, click here to grab my AP World Heimler Review Guide, which has everything you need to get an A in your class and a 5 on your exam in May. And I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Heimler out.